Today our topic is why Stoics emphasized virtue over success. The Stoics were ancient philosophers who believed that the key to a good life is not about achieving fame, wealth, or power, but about living a life of virtue. They thought that true happiness comes from within, not from external things like money, status, or success. According to the Stoics, virtue is the highest good, and everything else is secondary. But what does this mean, and why did they believe this? Let's explore this idea in detail. First, we need to understand what the Stoics meant by virtue. Virtue for them was not just about being morally good or doing the right thing. It was about living in harmony with nature and reason. They believed that every person has the ability to use reason to make good choices, and these choices are what led to a virtuous life. Virtue, in this sense, is about wisdom, courage, justice, and self-control. These four qualities are the foundation of a good life, according to Stoic philosophy. The Stoics argued that external things like money, fame, and success are not within our complete control. We can work hard and do our best, but there are always factors outside of our control that can influence the outcome. For example, you can study hard for an exam, but you might still fail because the questions were too difficult. Or you got sick on the day of the test. Similarly, you can work hard at your job, but you might not get promoted because your boss doesn't like you, or the company is going through tough times. The Stoics believed that if we focus too much on these external things, we will always be disappointed and frustrated because we cannot control everything in life. Instead, they suggested that we focus on what we can control, which is our own thoughts, actions, and choices. This is where virtue comes in. By focusing on living a virtuous life, we can achieve inner peace and happiness, regardless of what happens in the outside world. For example, if you are facing a difficult situation like losing your job or going through a breakup, the Stoics would say that you cannot control these events, but you can control how you respond to them. You can choose to be brave, to stay calm, and to act with integrity. These are virtuous actions, and they will help you to deal with the situation in a positive way. The Stoics believe that by focusing on virtue, we can become stronger, more resilient, and more content with our lives. Another reason why the Stoics emphasize virtue over success is that they believe that external things like wealth and fame are temporary and can be taken away at any moment. You might be rich today, but you could lose everything tomorrow. You might be famous today, but people could forget about you in a few years. The Stoics believe that if we base our happiness on these things, we will always be anxious and worried because we know that they can disappear at any time. On the other hand, virtue is something that cannot be taken away from us. No matter what happens in life, we can always choose to act with wisdom, courage, justice, and self-control. These qualities are permanent and will always be with us, even in the most difficult times. The Stoics also believed that success, as most people understand it, is not really important in the grand scheme of things. They thought that the pursuit of fame and wealth is often driven by vanity and ego, and it distracts us from what really matters in life. For example, if you spend all your time trying to become rich or famous, you might neglect your relationships, your health, or your personal growth. The Stoics believed that these things are much more important than external success. They thought that true success is about becoming a good person, not about achieving fame or wealth. This is why they emphasized virtue over success. The Stoics also believed that virtue leads to a more meaningful and fulfilling life. They thought that by living a virtuous life, we can contribute to the well-being of others and make the world a better place. For example, if you act with justice, you will treat others fairly and stand up for what is right. If you act with courage, you will face challenges and difficulties with strength and determination. If you act with wisdom, you will make good decisions and avoid making mistakes. And if you act with self-control, you will resist temptations and stay focused on your goals. These actions not only benefit you, but also benefit the people around you. The Stoics believed that by living a virtuous life, we can create a positive impact on the world and leave a lasting legacy. Another important point is that the Stoics believed that virtue is the key to inner peace and happiness. They thought that if we focus on living a virtuous life, we will be less affected by the ups and downs of life. For example, if you lose your job, you might feel sad or angry, but if you focus on acting with courage and self-control, you will be able to handle the situation better. You will not let the situation control your emotions, and you will be able to move forward with a positive attitude. Similarly, if you achieve success, you might feel happy and proud, but if you focus on staying humble and grounded, you will not let the success go to your head. You will be able to enjoy the moment without becoming arrogant or greedy. The Stoics believed that by focusing on virtue, we can achieve a state of inner peace and contentment, no matter what happens in life. In conclusion, the Stoics emphasized virtue over success because they believed that virtue is the key to a good life. They thought that external things like wealth, fame, and power are not within our complete control and can be taken away at any moment. Instead, they suggested that we focus on what we can control, which is our own thoughts, actions, and choices. By living a virtuous life, we can achieve inner peace, happiness, and a sense of purpose. We can become stronger, more resilient, and more content with our lives. We can also contribute to the well-being of others and make the world a better place. The Stoics believed that true success is not about achieving fame or wealth, but about becoming a good person. This is why they emphasize virtue over success. So, the next time you face a challenge or a difficult situation, remember the Stoic philosophy. Focus on what you can control and act with wisdom, courage, justice, and self-control. By doing so, you will not only overcome the challenge but also grow as a person. You will find inner peace and happiness, and you will live a life that is meaningful and fulfilling. This is the wisdom of the Stoics, and it is still relevant today. Life is full of ups and downs, but if we focus on living a virtuous life, we can navigate through it with strength and grace. Remember, true success is not about what you achieve, but about who you become. So, strive to be virtuous, and you will find that you already have everything you need to live a good life.